LPT, the tip: just be yourself isn't supposed to win over all your dream girls or guys. It's meant to find you the person that loves you for you, and not the fake personality you think you have to be to win them over. That, and leaning into your natural personality traits, often makes you the happiest, most vibrant version of yourself. That's attractive. My first serious relationship crashed and burned because I tried to be what I thought she wanted me to be. The next was successful because she knew who I was, and I didn't have to fake it. I took the just be yourself advice early in high school. Turns out the real me was a self-centered, which became clear to me as I watched my antisocial tendencies alienate all the people around me. That was a real wake-up call to get my act together. /______edit. The other version of this, be the best version of you, is only slightly less useless. It turns out 14-year-old me's idea of the best version of me was a whip-smart Witty who was unspeakably cool for not caring about anything or anyone. So that's what I went for. The real LPT for me was something like, quit fixating on yourself, focus on how you can build other people up. Another side note: if you realize you're actually a terrible person and you don't want to stay that way, you're going to have to pretend a lot at the beginning. You're not going to become kind and good overnight, so you're going to need to fake it until your brain can rewire itself to match your aspirations. For me, it took the better part of 2 years. Years later in college, I read some Jung, and his explanation of persona/shadow and personality integration really clicked with what I went through. I'd certainly recommend She Likes Me for me, not because I hang with Leonardo or that guy who played in Fargo. I think his name is Steve. She's the one for me. Yes, Up is right, but we need to differentiate between faking being someone you're not and improving yourself so you can genuinely attract people by being your new self. Some people will struggle to attract someone by being themselves. Just be yourself advice is the reason a lot of people are stuck, unable to find someone forever. There are traits and behaviors you can adopt that make you more attractive to the vast majority while still being your true, but improved, self. You can give them your own unique flavor. Don't stagnate, develop. I don't think its intention is to win over anybody, but more so to have the person feel comfortable with themselves in general. Also, just be yourself does not help you find anyone if your self is shy introvert with social anxiety. Don't ask me how I know. If being myself worked, we wouldn't have a problem. Just be yourself has kept me single for 2 lifetimes. Be a better version of myself has only helped me be less bitter about it. The other side: keep improving yourself until you become the man/woman worthy of receiving and giving love to your dream girl/guy. Zoinks. Nobody likes my autistic personality. I disagree. Just be yourself is advice for someone who's socially functional but say is nervous about interaction in certain environments, nights out for example. For that it is good advice. It is not intended for those with significant issues that need solving. What I realized is that, if the saying makes you incredibly anxious, sad or angry, you probably haven't found yourself yet. Some people never do, but that might be a good incentive to change up how you think, talk and do, over and over and over until you find whatever doesn't cause you pain or, even better, makes you comfortable. That is probably yourself. Yep. Most of us aren't very good actors, and things can get really awkward when you're trying to adopt personality traits that are not your own. PSA: this does not mean you get to use "I'm just being myself" as an excuse to be an. Be yourself, be happy, be comfortable, but not with the repercussions of making someone else grossly uncomfortable or upset. If that's being yourself, it's time to change who you are and maybe nail down some new core values. On a similar vein, it's an absolute drag to listen to someone explain something that they couldn't care less about. But if that person values a topic, and is interested in that topic, they might go into extra detail because they're excited, or deeply explain random intricacies, or delve into niche portions of the topic you might otherwise never know existed. They'll teach you the cool stuff about something, and, in turn, that makes learning the mundane portions far more palatable. Good teachers aren't necessarily just good at teaching, they also just love to do it and love to share knowledge about their favorite subject. I'd assume most great teachers are, at heart, just giant nerds and big, somewhat, mature children. Hopefully that doesn't come across as condescending. Lol, I say it fondly. I don't have any affiliation with any teachers or anything. I'd say I even mean this more broadly than teaching as a profession, since any sort of mentor is a teacher really. Like, parents are teachers in a different, more fundamental sense. You can almost just feel and absorb the enthusiasm that exudes from someone that's sharing their knowledge and knows what they're talking about and truly cares to pass the knowledge on intact and accurate. Even the more stalwart mentors I have had, you knew they meant business, but you also sometimes could catch glimpses of their repressed enthusiasm for something. What did you mean tried what they wanted? A real LPT. Great job on self-analysis and development. Changing yourself because you want to be better is fine, it's putting on a false persona to lure people in, that's the issue. Sometimes people really need an boy I'm ass moment of revelation to lose some bad habits. But you work on losing them, you don't work on hiding them. Yes, people confuse personality and interest self with effort and empathy self. Like, don't pretend to love hiking if you hate the outdoors. But not showering or not outwardly expressing interest in others is not being yourself. The problem occurs when people use just be yourself as an excuse to avoid working on themselves and putting effort into necessary self-improvement. Depending on the context, this can be good advice or bad advice. Bad advice: I really like this girl, but every time I try to talk to her, I'm a nervous mess. Just be yourself. Gee, thanks for the non-advice. Good advice: I really like this girl, but I'm worried she won't like my nerdy hobbies. Don't pretend to not have nerdy hobbies. If she doesn't like you for your nerdy hobbies, you probably don't want to be with her anyway. It should be better phrased as be the best version of yourself. Don't pretend to be something you're fundamentally not, but you should always strive to improve yourself to be the best version of yourself. Corollary: if you don't like who you are, change. If you're an, definitely don't be yourself. Instead be someone that's not an, or yourself is a person that is just not that socially likable. This whole idea that for everyone yourself is some great mature being is not true. Everyone wears a mask more or less, and some people definitely should in my experience. That is why I don't like the be yourself advice. But for those of who are good actors, it's not worth it. You will get tired of constantly masking, and it'll be weird when your two friends hang out and you have to blend the personalities you've used for each of them. It's couldn't care less, not could care less. I'm a bot and this action was performed automatically. She wanted him to be a cat. He tried to be a cat. He's not a cat. It was ridiculous. Let's say you hate country music but they love country music. You pretend to like country music to win them over. This is being inauthentic. Greater than my last serious relationship crash. Bummer. Greater than and I wanted to bartend and play music and other women besides her. Hold up. Except that wasn't their real self, it was just their defense and coping mechanisms. There's your real LPT. We are what we pretend to be, so we must be careful about what we pretend to be. Kurt Vonnegut. Like nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills. Girls only want boyfriends who have great skills. Hygiene is one. If you go in a relationship and you need to shave half your personality to get it, 1. You'll have to wear a mask all day every day until it breaks, or 2. Those things you loved you needed to leave at the door will eat at you until you are an empty husk. I am divorced, and by her own admittance, my ex-wife faked a personality to match mine for 14 years. Eventually she just couldn't do it anymore. She was good at it too. I fell hook, line and sinker, and to this day it's very weird to talk with her. She looks different, talks differently, her speech patterns are different, her voice is different, her entire demeanor is a different person. I'm honestly glad she doesn't feel like she has to pretend anymore. Depends what attributes you're talking about. For example, some things are immutable, but to a certain extent, you become what you pretend to be. After a while, it stops being pretending, and you just become it. And then it's effortless. I grew up poor, went to an expensive private college within college, and pretty much consciously rewrote how I talked, how I dressed, even my body language. At some point I just became that guy, and now the damage is irreversible. Interesting. I don't even know how to phrase this question, but after finding that out, were you able to tell that she was acting some particular way? For example, was she following a way of being that she grew up in, like a religion or subculture? Also sorry it went that way for you. I imagine that was rough. That happened to a friend of mine. After her husband passed away, her whole personality changed to her normal self, and she was only different before for the sake of her husband. Some say he is still meowing to this day. Yes, we were very deep into a super conservative sect of evangelicalism. And her specific childhood background was an even more conservative sect of the Foursquare movement. She definitely masked her personality for the religious circle. But the religious circle also taught her that a woman's only real value is marriage, so she naturally just changed everything for me. Her likes, her dreams, whatever I liked in a partner, she automatically was. One of the most taxing on her was that I am extroverted, and she is completely introverted. I can't imagine the toll it took on her to be as social as she was out with me and people. I was ridiculously young at the time, and stupidly and rather selfishly thought I'd hit the jackpot, a woman who likes everything I like and is just like me. Honestly, I should have recognized how placating she was and not subjected her to that life by just blindly assuming someone would be that supportive. Hopefully she's found her peace now away from me. I've known so many women who do this. I did this well into my 20s. I was afraid of losing their interest or love until I started unpacking things and realized I couldn't have picked me out of a lineup, let alone loved them. Do guys do this too at that age? Not for a month or two, but as their only way of interfacing with close relationships. I had a mixed group of friends but only noticed it on the ladies' side. You've got a good heart. Thank you for being such a compassionate person. Greater than one of the most taxing on her was that I am extroverted, and she is completely introverted. Dear, I think it's difficult to imagine someone doing something like that if you haven't seen it before. Many people would not know that their partner faked their whole personality to make them happy. The very culture that made her placating made you ignorant that that could happen. It's okay to feel sad, but I don't know if you should blame yourself for not knowing. Now you do know it's possible and will check in with your next partner. As a woman raised in a conservative religion and who was also raised to do that exact thing, this wasn't your fault. It's important to take away lessons from this, but from what you've said here you sound more like a tool she was using to box herself in than her tormentor. I just want to say that that woman did love you. People raised to be codependent don't know any better, or that there's a better way to love someone. But the fact that she tolerated years being extra overstimulated and painfully neglecting her alone time needs as an introvert is a testament to, at the very least, she really tried her best to love you the only way she knew how, which was to become the person you wanted the most. It is almost never intentional deception. It is an early defense mechanism from traumatic life experiences, where one's automatic response to survive was to chameleon into what the abuser wanted in order to survive and avoid incurring more wrath. I am in no way attempting to absolve her of blame or defend her. I am just someone who has similar attachment issues and codependency issues, the chameleoning, recognizing the behavior described in someone else. Please know a lot of these actions weren't really rational choices. It's more like a computer playing the same programming even though the software has been updated, same defense mechanisms even though I'm an adult now. I loved someone very much, and I did this during our relationship. They didn't realize, I realized eventually I was not being my true self and was being codependent, just like I was taught by my parents as what love is. I'm very blessed our relationship ended for a completely different reason. The honest truth was my nervous system did not feel safe with him. So it automatically did all these things. And me having weird anxiety and trauma issues, my nervous system rarely ever feels safe, That wasn't his fault either. Greater than do guys do this too at that age? Yes. I think it's related to high levels of empathy where your personality chameleons the setting or people. But also very low levels of empathy, for example, sociopathy. Yeah, our religion gave a ton of positive reinforcement to the loud, over-the-top, spirit-filled Christians, and didn't look too kindly on introverts. Skeptical if you wanted to really be accepted into the circles, you got loud,